Sin number 1, failure to set meaningful goals.
Well, Ryan, I think we did a fairly good job this year, eh?
But okay.
Beverly, I was sort of hoping you'd make more progress this year.
Evaluation is difficult when there aren't clear, measurable goals. Many experts recommend the SMART, S-M-A-R-T approach to setting goals. That means goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Sin number 2, failure to manage goals through the evaluation period.
So another year, another appraisal. Let's see how we did. All right, goal 1 was abandoned when corporate changed directions. Goal 2 got taken over by marketing. Goal 3 was unnecessary with new software, and goal 4 got pushed into next year. Goal 5 depended on goal 4.
Things can change during the evaluation period, and if you don't address the changes, you may wind up at the end of the period with a set of great goals that are no longer relevant. This commonly happens when equipment or technology makes a job obsolete, the company abandons a project, or new priorities are set. Especially if the evaluation period is a full year, it's important to review the goals and status against them at least every quarter. If most or many of the original goals are no longer relevant, restate or create some new ones. Sin number 3, failure to discuss performance at various times during the evaluation period.
Unfortunately, your rating is unsatisfactory.
Your rating is unsatisfactory.
Your rating is unsatisfactory.
A performance ranking shouldn't be a surprise or a shock to the employee being appraised. Measure progress against goals regularly. If performance is unsatisfactory, give the employee a chance to improve. It's pretty silly to let an employee underperform for a whole year and then spring the news at the appraisal meeting. Sin number 4, failure to be honest.
Well, Katie, your rating for this period is satisfactory. Actually, her performance was poor, but I think by giving this rating, it'll help it to improve.
Sally, your work was okay this period. I think she knows that okay really means needs improvement.
Managers and supervisors tend to avoid unpleasant confrontations, and they don't want to have to tell an employee that he or she is subpar. So they equivocate and give a satisfactory rating to a poor employee. This sends the wrong message to the employee, who will surely assume that all is well. And that can come back with a vengeance in court. Eventually, you're going to terminate that employee. He or she will claim that the termination was because of discrimination. But you will say, no, it was because of poor performance. And then the opposing attorney will pull out that satisfactory performance rating and ask you, is this your signature? And then the attorney will ask you to read the definition of satisfactory. You're done for. By the way, it's easier to deliver bad news when there are clear standards. If they're not met, you just say so. The facts will speak for themselves. Finally, don't think that any employee is going to think that okay means other than good or excellent. Sin number 5, statements are too vague.
Okay, let's tighten things up, shall we?
Gary, your work could use some improvement.
Mary, I'm making a note that we talked about your performance.
Amanda? No, I'm just going to spell it out. You're lazy.
Again, because of the desire to avoid unpleasantness, managers and supervisors will often write something on performance evaluations like needs improvement. That's too vague. Does it mean the employee did a great job, but there's always room for a little improvement? Or does it mean that the employee did a terrible job? Or how about a note to file? Talked to Sally about her performance. Was that to tell her how exceptional her performance was? And then we have judgment words like lazy. Again, too vague. Offer documentation and give specific examples of the unacceptable behavior. Sin number 6. For corrective situations, failure to clarify that significant and sustained improvement is required.
Chris, you know, if your work doesn't improve, I can't predict what'll happen next.
Gary, if we don't see some improvement, there will be repercussions.
So the new year begins and the worker does improve, a little, and only for a short time. But he or she did improve, just as you asked. Make sure that whenever you ask for improvement, you define what that would consist of and state clearly that the improvement must be sustained over time. Sin number 7, failure to take the performance appraisal process seriously.
Oh, here's a stack of performance appraisals I have to do. I got real work to do.
Hey Dave, I just want to remind you that those performance appraisals are due tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely, no problem. Tomorrow it is. I really gotta do these things. Satisfactory, 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 satisfactory.
One would hope that managers would look at the appraisal process as an important opportunity to improve the performance of the department, to help employees develop, and to give credit where it is due. But some view appraisals as just an onerous chore. That is unfortunate. Not only will that manager lose the opportunity to improve performance and recognize hard work, but he or she is setting up a situation that an eager lawyer will jump on. Sin number 8, failure to be consistent across department and organization or playing favorites.
Oh boy, you know, Jim's performance isn't that great. But you know, he's my kind of guy. Let's give it a good one.
All right, well, Jamie's clearly the better producer, but if Tracy doesn't get the high rating, she'll whine and complain, so because Jamie will just take it, we're gonna give Tracy the high rating.
Judy's a great worker, but you know, her husband has a great job. I think the high rating's got to go to Steve, even though Judy's work's actually better.
Within the department or across the organization, if ratings are inconsistent, there are going to be complaints, morale problems, and eventually lawsuits. If the inconsistency is blatant, for example, if members of a protected class are consistently rated lower, that is setting up a lawsuit, especially if the above-mentioned sins of vague goals and dishonest evaluations have been committed. Sin 9, gaming the system.
Okay, well, John's work has not been great, but I need to give him a big raise to keep him. So he gets an excellent.
I can't stand Sandy, but I can't get him out of the department unless he has a high rating. I'll let the next manager deal with him.
This is gaming the system, giving inaccurate ratings for some reason outside the performance appraisal realm. As we have mentioned, this is always going to lead to trouble, and probably very expensive trouble. Sin number 10, failure to document carefully.
They want me to write this stuff down. I'm busy. I'll remember it.
If there is ever a court case or a charge, remember that it will likely to be 2 to 5 years after the event the proceedings occur. Without clear, contemporaneous documentation, even if all the players are still employed at your organization, it will be difficult to remember what exactly was said, and it will be very difficult to convince a jury. Okay, those are our 10 sins of performance appraisal. Avoid them, and you will likely avoid a lot of heartache, hassle, and expensive lawsuits. For all of your HR hassles, we recommend hr.blr.com. This is Steve Bruce for the HR Daily Advisor.